I saw a graph that said Americans, 87.5% of their days are spent indoors. Sleep is the most important thing that we do. So anytime you notice sleep issues, sleep apnea, snoring, you do wake up to pee 1 or 2 times a night, just anything that interrupts the sleep is an issue that needs to be addressed like now rather than later.
Welcome to Mastery Podcast, where entrepreneurs and experts uncover the truth about health, wealth, and personal mastery. I'm Dr. Sas, and together we dive deep into strategies that elevate your business and well-being beyond mainstream advice. Get ready for powerful stories, expert insights, and transformational knowledge. Welcome back to Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sas, and I'm excited to be joined by Jason Yoon today. He's a leading expert in circadian biology and quantum health. And let me ask you this, our audience, have you ever felt drained even after 8 hours of sleep? I know I have. Or have you wondered why so many people struggle with burnout and brain fog despite eating right or exercising? The answer may lie in your body's internal clock. Jason is a health coach who helps people heal naturally by optimizing their lifestyle through sunlight, mitochondrial health, and circadian rhythms. And after overcoming his own health challenges, Jason shifted from running a gym to teaching science-backed strategies for lasting health. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Thank you, Dr. Sass, for having me. Very exciting to be here.
Thank you. I'm excited to talk about, all this sunlight and stuff. And I was just telling you earlier this morning, I was out taking the sun bath,
Good.
And now I know why all the animals do that. But I was thinking about you while I was doing that. My husband and I, we take walks in the morning, and we will stop at this circle, and we'll take the sun. And we were just wondering, we wonder if our neighbor think we're crazy because we just stood there and like worshiping the sun.
Uh-huh.
But I'm so excited to talk to you today, Jason.
Awesome. Cool.
All right. Well, let's start with your story, Jason. What led you to discover circadian biology and quantum health, and how did it change your life?
Well, it started, so I opened my fitness business gym studio in 2007, and around 2015, 16, 17, and 18, I started not feeling so hot. Had some hormonal issues. At the time, I didn't really know it was hormonal issues. I just thought it was part of life, because I had been living a life of basically waking up at 4:30 a.m., going to teach a strength and conditioning or a boot camp class at 5:15 a.m. Sometimes I was doing a little bit of workout before that, or artificial lights. A lot of times I was doing it after that. But I was doing that. So that lifestyle just basically led to my battery being run dry. And I was in my late 30s, and I thought in my late 30s, I shouldn't be going through this situation because I'm supposed to be helping my clients be the strongest version of themselves. And I couldn't do that if I was sick. So I needed to look elsewhere in terms of health, so to speak, because I had been ingrained that all you need to do to be healthy is you need good workouts and you need a good diet. And that obviously wasn't the case because I was working out 5-6 times a week, and I was following like keto diet, paleo diet, all the things that everybody talks about that's supposed to be excellent for you. But I was still breaking down. So eventually I was reintroduced in 2018 to Dr. Jack Cruz. I originally found him in 2013, followed his stuff for like 2 weeks, but I just wasn't ready for it because I still had fitness programs, nutrition programs, supplements to sell you. So I basically went full bore into his stuff. But it actually took me like I had to listen to his like 2 hour lecture like 7 or 8 times before I actually did anything because I was so ingrained in that fitness and nutrition culture. But once I did, it was like 30 days, it was like a complete turnaround. And I even did things wrong, but eventually I course corrected and I keep adding little things and little things here, little things there that I keep learning because I'm still educating myself on it because there's a lot of science to it. But the basics are very easy to implement, so to speak. And that's what I try to teach to my clients, my listeners, my readers, all that stuff. Um, but yeah, that was basically the turnaround point for me. Yeah, is finding Dr. Cruz.
Yeah, wow, what a journey you've been through, and to have that happen to you in such a young age, 30s is super young. You're
Yep.
like just, enjoying your adulthood pretty much, and now all of a sudden, and I'm glad you're fine now. But let me ask you this though, what was the most eye-opening lesson you learned through this whole process of getting yourself well?
Um, that basically everything we think in terms of health and being healthy is it's either a half truth or it's a full lie. So usually when we see things on TV, it's all marketing propaganda. They're corporations trying to get us to get this, get that, um, get this supplement, take this supplement, do this workout, do this diet, or take this drug. So Ozempic is like one of the big
Mhm.
things out there. So the weight loss drugs and all that stuff. Um, but we have to realize that we have to become our own best doctor, and we have to become our own best, basically therapist. So we have to talk to ourselves better because a lot of negativity and stuff. So mindset is one thing that is absolutely huge. I mean, you can do everything with circadian biology and all the health and stuff, but if your mindset is not right, then things are not going to fall into place for you. So just finding that finding the right teachers, so to speak, is absolutely huge. So um, who you listen to, who your experts are, because if they only stop at a certain place and they don't go further because of their beliefs, then that might be a major issue. So again, you have to become your own best doctor. You've got your sixth sense, so to speak, your gut feeling. So most people have a good gut feeling like this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this, or I, this guy sounds like he's talking sense. Maybe I should follow him a little bit more, see
Mhm.
where it is, because it takes like the mark of an educated person is basically taking something that they fundamentally do not believe, examining it for their own self, and then figuring out, does this fit in my life or not? Or is it something that I can put into my life later on? Because like I said earlier in the beginning, it took me 5 years to actually start to implement Jack's teachings because eventually I started feeling bad and I knew I was on the wrong path and I needed to get back on the right path, so to speak.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And I believe exactly what you say. If you don't educate yourself, you don't know you're following the wrong leader. Or I mean, it's not that they are wrong, right? Mainstream medical, they were taught, and then they believe that what they do is to your best interest.
Mhm.
And a lot of them. Some of them may not, but like you said, you have your sixth sense, and the only way to really get healthy is if you educate yourself and go to the right people who will you resonate with, and there are many different modalities where you can combine things together. Let's talk about the biology of the quantum health and the circadian health altogether, because a lot of people um, don't know anything about that. I mean, I heard bits and pieces before. My husband is probably more attuned to this naturally than I am, because he study Eastern medicine and he's into fitness and stuff like that. And he's the one that actually told me, hey, you need to go out and get some sun. And over the years, and that's what we did. But I never really look into, I know about circadian rhythm, and I think a lot of people understand that. And but there are more than just, go to bed on time and waking up on time, right? So can you give us like the basic about the circadian biology and why is it important for maintaining good health?
Well, basically, we run on a 24-hour clock. Everybody knows that the sun rises and sets at a certain time, and obviously changes throughout the year based on where you are, and that controls that day, that light and dark cycle. It controls certain things and processes in us. So certain processes are supposed to be happening at certain times. So like when our blood pressure is supposed to be highest or when it's supposed to be lowest, when certain hormones are supposed to be turned on, when they're supposed to be turned off, when is the best time to actually do a workout, when is the best time to, or when is the time you're supposed to be eating, when is the time you're supposed to not be eating. All these things are dictated by a circadian rhythm. But as humans, we have been able to create certain things, certain technologies, certain shelters that shelter us from basically nature. So we're able to uncouple from nature, which if we do too much of that, then we start to get what I call cellular chaos. So basically just inflammation. And inflammation is the start of every single disease. And when that happens, basically, it's like a domino effect. So the first thing you'll notice is energy starts going down, and then it just keeps dominoing down until eventually it's like, hey, you've got this disease or that disease. But the thing is, most diseases can be significantly reduced or even reversed. It's just a matter of where that person is in their journey and where their mindset is. So they've obviously got to be ready for the change. Because if they wait too long, then the progression is just going to get worse and worse. So there's something called mitochondrial heteroplasmy. So basically think of, I use the example of, think of a bowl of fruit. And in that bowl of fruit, you got one bad fruit, and then that bad fruit is on one of the good fruits. So eventually that bad fruit is going to make that good fruit go bad. And then if you just let it fester, it's going to affect all the other ones. But we can stop that progress. And I mean, the first thing that I always recommend, the most important thing for our circadian rhythm, is the sunrise. So seeing the sunrise with naked eyes, as much naked skin as possible. So no sunglasses, no contacts. If you do have glasses, you just pull them down over the bridge of your nose so that sun can actually get into your eye. So we have got something in there called melanopsin, which is our blue light detector. So think of it like a blue light antenna. So there's blue light in the sun, and so that is what we have evolved to, is that blue light from the sun. And that's because the blue light from the sun, it's accompanied with red light green light, orange light, indigo, all those other frequencies. But like blue light from like the overhead lights that you have at grocery stores, at office buildings, there's no red light in there. So that's why that blue light is so damaging to our mitochondria and to our circadian rhythm. So, so seeing the sunrise is like the most important thing for the circadian rhythm. It also releases the right amount of hormones. Because what I used to do when I woke up, when I was teaching those classes and woke up at 4:30, my phone would wake me up. That was my alarm. I grabbed it, and I would basically sit there for 5 to 10 minutes scrolling through Instagram with the phone on my chest. So, which is one of the worst things you can do, because you got the phone, it's got the blue light emitting, and it's also got the non-native EMF, the bad frequencies that absolutely destroy us. And then putting it somewhere like next to your bottom of my chest, so my heart, my stomach, my lungs, all that's being affected. So basically, the number one effect of like blue light and non-native EMF is that it dehydrates the body. And when we get dehydrated, then nothing really works, or things start to slow down. So they're not doing what they're supposed to. And when that happens, then we've got that cellular chaos again. And then if we just let it keep going, things will start to break down and continue to break down. So it's super important to focus on the so most people, they make their days dark by either putting on sunglasses or just avoiding outside completely. So I forget where you are, but out here today, this morning it was 3 degrees. Yeah. So most people, most people in the winter, they go in. I know I saw a graph that said Americans, 87.5% of their days are spent indoors. And I'm sure it's even more in like winter and colder places like I am. So yeah, making our days bright and then our nights dark, that is what sets us up for sleep, and that's what helps us, because sleep is the most important thing that we do. So anytime you notice sleep issues, sleep apnea, snoring, you do wake up to pee 1 or 2 times a night, there's anything that interrupts the sleep is an issue that is going to that needs to be addressed like now rather than later.
Yeah, I have several questions that just pop in my mind actually while you were talking. And you mentioned there are certain time that you should get up, there's certain time that you should exercise and stuff like that. So my first question is, what time in the morning, like and how important is the morning sunlight if you don't get it? What's going on with that, and why it is so critical for our health and during this time? Like there are people who work night shift. For example, I used to work night shift for many years, and I know how hard that can be on your health. What can people do when they don't have that option? Like, people who live in Alaska, for example, um, how can they fight this,
Mhm.
this lifestyle that we
Yeah,
created for ourselves?
right. It depends on where you are and what is going to be in your view. So me, I live in a preserve. So I've got woods in front of me and I've got woods in back of me. So for my sunrise spot, I actually have to walk about 3 blocks to get there. So typically, sunrise today was at 7:48. So right about probably 8:05, I started heading towards my spot, And the earlier you can see it, so if you live, like the best place to see it, obviously, is the ocean when it just pops right out of the ocean. Uh, that way, the sun's going to be more. It's going to be like pure red when it comes out, or pure orange. And then as it goes up, it's adding those other frequencies, blue light, and all that stuff in it. But you want to, as sunrise ends, once the sun gets over 10 degrees, that's when UVA light comes out. And that's also another important frequency to get as well, because that's when we make a whole host of things. So we make melatonin, serotonin, nitric oxide, the endorphins, beta endorphins, alpha endorphins, all that stuff, basically feel good opioid like substances that are natural and not like actual opioids. So we're nature basically tells us we're supposed to be addicted to the sun and not addicted to our phone or our iPad or the whatever the latest Netflix craze is or something like that. Dopamine is also something that's created in UVA light, but all that stuff, and it doesn't take very long, because sometimes like my kid, I've got two kids, a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old. So sometimes I don't have time to actually go to my spot and sit there and watch the sun. So sometimes I'm like getting them ready. I'll go out for 30 seconds, look at the sun. Then I'll do something inside, fixing their lunches or helping them do something, and then back out 2 minutes, and then another 2 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 30 seconds here, a minute there. So just as much time as possible getting that frequency inside of you. So it's basically the light is what our mitochondria craves. It's like basically like we are the ultimate solar panel. So our eyes and skin are our solar panels.
Well, that makes sense. I like that.
Yeah.
The solar panel. So basically what you're saying is we should be outside as much as possible. Every single time of the day is a different ray of light that we need to absorb to maintain our health. You know, in general, mitochondria, cells health, skin health, and the whole 9 yards. Thank you. That clarify a lot.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, 99, I think it's 99.7 or 99.9% of all of our molecules are water molecules. And water is basically like it's a repository for sunlight. So it can hold sunlight. It will transfer the sunlight's information all over the body via the blood network and circulatory system. So when certain areas needed a little more sunlight will be released in that area. So it's been shown that we release both UV light and IR light. And those are basically signaling to the next cell, say, hey, do this. And then it signals to the next cell, signals to the next cell, signals to the mitochondria, signals to the organs, do this, do that. Okay. And then that's how our body basically functions.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me ask you this. Let's go back to the night shift worker, or even people who work during the daytime, right? They indoor all the time. A good chunk of the day. We get up early in the morning. Actually, during the winter time, it's before sunrise. You get up while it's still dark, and then you go right inside while it's still dark. And during the daytime, when you're supposed to be outside, you stay inside all day working. And then when you drive home, the sun is like almost setting, and you don't get the sunlight at all. What do you recommend?
Well, you've got to become like a reverse cigarette smoker. So most cigarette smokers are actually healthier than a lot of the workers in like office buildings, because they got to take their smoke breaks outside. Plus they are getting, well, I mean, they're getting nicotine, which does have some health benefits. It's just all the other crap that's in the cigarette that kills them.
Yeah.
But taking sun breaks throughout the day. The third shift, I mean, there's really nothing a person can do. I mean, I've seen studies where they show it's like it increases your chances of cancer by like 40%.
Mm-hmm.
And with the rates here, it's like 1 in every 3 women are supposed to get it, and 1 in 2 men are supposed to be diagnosed sometime in their lifetime. So it's kind of like playing Russian roulette, but you don't have 1 bullet in the chamber. You've got like 4 or 5 bullets in the chamber. So, but things you can do to make it a little bit more tolerable. Obviously, if you work at home, it's a lot easier. So you can just turn off the lights. So I just have windows that shining, and I crack the window. That's one thing. If you do sit by a window, you want to make sure that's open, or if you can't open it, just move away from the window, because it does create a unnatural spectrum of light. I am grounded right now, so for your listeners, I have a little wrist strap that just clicks on. It's connected to a copper wire that is just that's connected to a copper rod outside, stuck into the ground. And other things that you can do, you want to make sure you have a wired keyboard, wired mouse. So the Bluetooth stuff, a lot of EMF coming from that.
So this is not good here.
No.
My Apple keyboard is actually killing me.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's things you can do with the lights. So I have a program called Iris on my computer that just takes out the blue light. If somebody doesn't need to see
So
different colors.
where can we go to get the Iris?
Improvement Warrior Fitness.
Okay, so we go to your website.
Yeah, /Iris.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, if you go to improvementwarriorfitness.com/blue blockers, that has everything I recommend for light products. One thing, if you are in an office building, Waken it's basically like a protective screen. You can put it on your computer, iPad. We have one on our television, and they also have ones where you can put over the overhead fluorescent lights, because those are just horrible. So that's one thing you can do. If you are at home, the Wi-Fi is like one of the worst things for you. I know in other countries like Russia, I think France, they don't allow Wi-Fi in like the kids' schools. So they're a lot more strict about that kind of stuff. But here, Wi-Fi is just like, it's just like second nature. It's like you'll go to a thing, people want, hey, free Wi-Fi here. I was like, oh, cool. But it's one of the worst things for you, because if you think like the Schumann resonance, which is Earth's magnetic field, it oscillates at 7.83 hertz. So think of that as being 8 cycles per second. And when you have Wi-Fi on, it's at 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. So that's 2.4 billion cycles per second versus 8. And if you have both of them on, then that's 7.4 billion cycles. And that's going to interfere with your biology, your mitochondria, brain fog, electro hypersensitivity is something that is just skyrocketing and will continue to skyrocket. So things you can do with Wi-Fi, when it's at home, the least you can do is unplug it when you sleep. Otherwise, there's things like Wi-Fi, like a cover that you can put over it, like a signal jammer. You'll still be able to use it, but it'll reduce how much is basically invading your body. So we use Ethernet here at home. So it's a lot better. And actually you can do it you can plug your phone into the Ethernet as well, so you don't have to use the 5G network, which is another thing that will absolutely destroy you.
And you have all these gadget links on your website. The phone Ethernet. Can you show us what people can do with that?
Yeah. So this is the Ethernet cord. It just plugs in there, and then this just plugs into the phone, and you don't even need to take it off airplane mode. You can use it as normal. You do if you are going to make a call, you do have to take it off airplane mode, but you're not using the 5G network. You're basically just connected to the
Wow.
connected.
That's super helpful. And we can we go to your website to look for these devices?
That device, no, it's just Amazon. Just look
There's
for
Amazon.
Ethernet.
Yeah.
Ethernet phone adapter.
Connected. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ethernet phone adapter. All
Mhm.
right. Those of you who listening. Yeah, we know about that, right? We know people this is not something new, and I know about it too. But until you really become intentionally studying it and really make yourself aware and make yourself, know that this is important, this can really hurt your health, then the chance of you doing something about it is slim, right? Until you said, "Hey, it could hurt my health," and we all know that, but to a certain degree, right? You really shed some light on some other stuff that we can do. And for me too, we have Wi-Fi at home, and I know that I want to go in there and program the Wi-Fi a certain way so it would turn off while we sleep. And then, it's always, oh, we get too busy or we get distracted. And then you never did go turn it off because it's just something that we feel like it's normal. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. Everybody have Wi-Fi.
Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah. Yeah. And what do you think about the 5G tower that's popping up everywhere, even though we don't have Wi-Fi at home, but if people who live in the city and
Yeah.
they have all those 5G tower, what can that do for our body, to our body, actually?
I mean, it absolutely destroys it. Like 1G through 4G were, I guess, more natural. They say 5G is the first man-made one. But basically 5G it's got a much shorter distance it can communicate. So that's why they need a lot more antennas and towers to communicate with the phones. But I mean, it's basically the same thing as Wi-Fi. It's going to like everything in our body, it communicates via frequency, oscillation, or vibration inside of us. So us communicating together, like all five of our senses, we use melanin, which most people know is the pigment that tans. But we got melanin on the outside, and we also have melanin on the inside. So it will degrade melanin on the inside of us, and that's where we need it, because the sense that uses the most energy, the most melanin, is our ability to hear, because we need to take a light frequency and turn it into a sound wave in order to hear. So that's one thing. If you do live next to if you live right next to an antenna, it's probably time to move.
Yeah.
So I know I've driven by where my kid plays baseball. There's a house, and right in their backyard is basically one of those big
5G.
towers.
Yeah.
So it's a big issue. Yeah. One thing you can do is if you go to I think it's .org or .com or .net,
Mhm.
you can put in your address and your work address, and it will tell you how many antennas and how many towers are there. So and it's always good to go back and see if they're adding more towers and whatnot. But I mean, they will hide towers anywhere. So I mean, I know I've seen pictures of them putting them in palm trees. Like actually, the palm tree will disconnect, and inside there they just put the top on, and there's actually cell towers inside of there.
Mhm.
They'll put them on schools, churches, everywhere. It's just starting to get ridiculous. And I know I do, I know they had the 6G conference, I think, at the end of last year. So they're just continuing to pile on these frequencies, and it's not going to get better. So it's up to us to really take action.
Take control of
Yeah.
our health. And with our, I mean, we still use our phone. I just went and get a new phone here, and I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is, you have it on your mind, but then you're like, well, what? So what? Everybody use phone, everybody, use Wi-Fi, and it's so convenient. And now the Verizon is giving away free iPad, and then you're walking around with iPhone and then iPad and then
Yeah.
all this stuff, electronic gadget. What can we do beside all that? I mean, and still function, because technology is here to stay.
Yep.
Now the next thing is AI, and that's another story. What can we do, and how can we educate ourselves more about this stuff?
Um, well, there's a host of companies that are trying to help you. So I have a daylight computer that's going to be coming to me in February. So it's a blue light free computer and low EMF. And they make tablets as well. So that's something that you can do. I have an EMF case on mine, and then I also I put it in a Faraday pouch here, and then I carry everything in basically a EMF fanny pack. So, and there's different companies. They have like a bunch of EMF cases. They've got EMF book bags. I know there's some clothing companies that have like EMF underwear, EMF hats. So it's just a matter of how far you want to go. But
Can be walking around in EMF suit,
yeah, exactly.
like hazmat suit.
Yeah, it's just being aware and knowing how you're affected. So if you do notice that you feel better in this place versus another place, so if you work in a big city and you have to go downtown, do you feel worse when you're in that building and you're downtown and because most downtowns are the worst place in the city. But do you feel better when you're out in the suburbs or out in the country, wherever you live?
I mean,
So
definitely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take note of that and just So because it does affect people differently. Because you have to be just completely aware. So it's like I left my former dentist because they wanted me to get the X-rays. But I was like, I kept they kept letting me sign a waiver form for 5 years, and then one day they said, no, we can't do that anymore. So I just walked out, and then the new dentist I found, I told him I was electro hypersensitive, which is a lie, but I know the damages of EMF and X-rays and all that stuff, so I just don't want.
I mean, we don't need X-ray every day in our mouth. It's
Yeah.
especially like,
They want
there's
it like
something going on.
every
Yeah.
year or 2 years. And when you're in your 40s or 50s, it's unless
Yeah.
something,
What's the
you get
point, right?
punched in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. My husband and I actually we walk out of a dentist's office because we just want to go get our teeth clean.
yeah,
And they insisted on giving us the X-ray. And we're like, we don't want X-ray. We don't need X-ray. We wearing this retainer. What do you call it? The Invisalign. So I mean, it's like we 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 just want our teeth cleaned.
yeah,
And they
uh,
would not clean our teeth.
yeah,
They refuse to clean our teeth unless we do the whole 9 yards, X-ray and all that stuff. So
yeah.
we
Well,
we we left we left the practice. We never go back, and we're looking for a dentist actually.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's one of their big money makers. So it
yeah,
moves your insurance cost up and all that stuff. So
right,
got a
right.
big $1 million machine, you got to use it.
Absolutely. I mean, all we have to do is just go get our teeth clean, right? And there are websites for like natural dentists
Mhm.
and stuff like that, right? Do
Yeah.
you know any that you can recommend?
I I don't. It took me like 20 calls to find a dentist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm actually doing my next uh, unknown death causers on orthodontics. Um,
Yeah.
so it's a big problem because usually they just want to straighten your teeth, and but they don't address the root cause of like
Mm-hmm.
the issues, which is mostly breathing, open mouths, and chewing the soft foods and all that stuff. So yeah.
It's a lot of stuff I need to learn still. And it's been an eye opener speaking with you today, Jason. And I feel like I want to talk to you some more, but we both got stuff to do. It's one of those days, right? And
Yes.
and Jason has been on so many different podcasts already today. And I do appreciate your time, Jason, and your expertise in this area. And what you're doing is, I'm sure, help a lot of people. And I'm just happy to be a channel for you to share your knowledge. And for those who want to learn more, and can they just go to your website? And do
Um,
you have a blog or and podcast that you personally do?
I do a podcast that's called Improvement Warrior Podcast. So if you go to Improvement Warrior Fitness, there's a tab for that. But I have a free ebook that's basically like a starting point for all this circadian stuff. So that's at improvementwarriorfitness.com/
Mhm.
mitochondriac. Just mitochondria with a C at the end.
Yeah,
Uh,
and we'll put all the links down below so they can just click it and go there. So
cool.
those of you who want to check out Jason work, go to improvementwarriorfitness.com, and all the other links we'll put down there. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could benefit from this, which is everybody. So thank you so much, Jason. And thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode. Until next time, stay healthy, stay inspired, and keep mastering your life. Thank you. Take care.
Yes, thank you.